Hi there, and welcome to the second part of building a TikTok clone, our own video sharing social media application with modern design, Google Auth, the ability to upload, publish, share, comment on, and like the videos, filtering by categories, and advanced search functionalities, profile pages, suggested accounts, custom responsive design, and much more. TikTok is the best video social media platform that you can currently find on YouTube. If you haven't watched the first part yet, that's going to be the prerequisite for you, so the link is going to be down in the description. Go check out the first part and then come back. And if you've already watched the first part, welcome back. We're going to continue building our great application. What you can see right here is how we left our app before, and it's not looking that good when compared to the finalized product. As you can see, we have to change some things in the layout, we have to implement our search, our profile page, as well as our video details page. And we're gonna do that right away. Let's continue with the development of our application by fixing the layout. I'm going to put this side by side with our editor right here. And we can go back to our home underscore app.tsx. Right inside of here, we can wrap our navbar and all the other content in an additional div. So right here, let's create a div, and that div is going to wrap our navigation bar. So we can put it right inside of there. There we go. We can indent it properly. And then we're going to give it a class name. This div is going to have the XL property, or rather on extra large devices, its width is going to be 1200 pixels. The margin is going to be set to auto, overflow is going to be set to hidden, and height is going to be set to 100 VH. There we go. As soon as we save the file and now expand our browser, you can see that now we have that nice margin and the layout is looking much closer to the final application. Now we can focus on the video details page. Last time we left it just as an empty component. So we can go to pages and then we can go to the detail. There we go. This is going to be our next step. So let's put the editor and the browser side by side and we can begin developing it. To start with our detail component, as always, we can first import a few things from React and from other dependencies. So let's import use state, use effect, and use ref hooks. We can also import the use router. So import use router, and that's coming from next/router. We can also get the image, so import image from next/image, and as well as import link from next/link. Then we can get a few icons. We can first get import go verified, and that's going to be coming from react-icons/go. Let's also get the import md outline cancel, and that's going to be coming from react-icons/md. We can also import the bs fill play fill from react-icons/bs. And finally, let's get the import of hi volume up as well as hi volume mute from react-icons hi. And that's not going to be mute, it's going to be off. We want to turn it off. There we go. And finally, we need to import Axios from Axios. There we go. That's going to be more than we need for now. Now, the key thing right here is how are we going to fetch the data for our detail? And we can do that by using the ID inside of the URL. You can notice right here, we have localhost 3000 /detail/ and then the ID. So what we can do is create a get server-side props function. So export const get server-side props is equal to an async function that looks like this. Now inside of here, we get the first parameter, which if we destructure, contains the params. And inside of the params, we can destructure the ID. So now let's kind of put this in a new row so we can more easily see what's happening. There we go. And now that we have the ID, we can make a call to the API to fetch the full data for the post. So we can say const inside of curly braces, data is equal to await axios.get. And now we can make a call to http:// localhost 3000 / API / post, and then finally / the ID that we want to call. Of course, this is going to be the real dynamic ID. But before we do that, there's one more thing we have to change. You might have noticed that we use this localhost a few times throughout our entire application. And once we deploy the URL, it wouldn't be good if we had to change that static string so many times. So what we can do is create a new environment variable. We can open up our file tree and then go inside of env or .env.development. Right here at the bottom, we can add the next_public_base_URL. And that's going to be equal to http:// localhost 3000. What we can do now is go back to our utils and then our index right here. Inside of this file, we can export const base_URL is equal to process.env.next_public_base_URL. So now we'll be able to use that base URL in all our files. And we can start with this file right here. You can see right below, we can change this to a dynamic template string where we say base URL and then /API /auth. Now we can use the search functionality to search for localhost 3000. And whenever we're calling that, we need to change that with the base URL. Our index.tsx of the pages is another file where we're doing that. So what we can do is change this to a template string, base_URL. And of course, we'll have to import this. So you can control space, click right here. And to import it, that's going to be curly braces, base_URL from /utils. That's it. And I think there's going to be two more files. One is the upload file, where we can do the same thing one more time. That's going to be base_URL. And of course, we have to import it inside of here as well, coming from utils. And the final file is the details page where we were on right now. We can also change that to a template string where we use that base URL. Change it to the template string, and then we can, of course, import it right here at the top. This is looking great. We just made our website much more deployment ready because when we do deploy it, we just need to change the variable inside of the .env, and the changes will be reflected across all pages. Now, of course, for changes to take effect, we have to restart our terminal, so you can rerun it and then run npm run dev. Now we're getting the data from here, and you already know the drill. We have to return and then pass the props right here. And then we can say post details is equal to data. That's how we're going to retrieve our posts. But if you think about it, we didn't yet create a GET request to /API /post and then /ID. So that's going to be the next step in our journey. Let's open up the file tree. Let's go to the post, and then let's create a new file, which is going to be square bracket ID closing square bracket .ts. This file is going to be similar to the auth ts, so we can copy the entire auth and paste it. For now, we can remove everything that we don't need. Let's expand this just a bit, and that's going to be everything that's inside of this post. In this case, we want to work with a GET request, so we can say if rec.method is GET. That way we know that we're making a write HTTP request. And there, we want to fetch the ID from the rec.query. So when you call a function like this from the detail page, let's check it out, detail. So if you pass the query like this with the ID, and you call this ID right here, then you can immediately pull that data by saying const ID is equal to rec.query. So the data is being passed through the query. Now that we have the ID, we can form our real sanity query. And we can do that by saying const query is equal to post detail query, and we pass in the ID. Now, this is a query that we have already created before, so we can simply import it from utils and then queries. We can even look at it right here. So we pass the post ID, and we only ask to get back the post that has the ID of the post ID. Finally, we can get the actual data by saying const data is equal to await client.fetch, and then we provide the query. Of course, client is also going to come from the utils, so we can import it. And the client is coming from utils, and then client. Finally, when we have the data, we can return it back. So res.status of 200, and then .json, where we pass the data 0, because we want to return the first element in the array. Now we can go back to our detail page. We're getting back that data, and we are setting that data to the props. Finally, we can get it right here from the props, and you already know the drill. We called it post details here. So we can simply destructure the post details. Of course, our TypeScript is complaining in a few places. Right here, saying, hey, I don't know that details is accepting post details. You need to tell me that. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And also, it's complaining right here that it doesn't know that ID actually exists. So let's fix that first. Right here, we can say that the params, or this entire object that we have, is equal to an object where we have params, and then ID is of a type string. So now it actually knows that the ID should be of a type string. We can do a similar thing we've done before for the post details, and that is to create an interface called iProps that is going to specify what our post details are. And our post details are going to be of a type called video. We can import that type from // types. This is a type that we have created before, if you remember. It has a caption, a video, ID, and everything else that the video has. Now we simply have to say iProps right here. So now TypeScript is not only not complaining, but it's going to help us a lot, because if we call the post details .something, now it knows that something doesn't exist on type video, which is incredibly helpful. Before we dive into the JSX of our detail component, let's set up the state as well. Use state snippet, and we're going to create a new post state and set it at the start to be equal to post details. The reason why we're doing this is because we can then manually change the post. For example, once somebody likes it right here, then we can immediately manually change it to 2. That's why we're going to set this to the state. And of course, we can also create the video ref. So we can say video ref is equal to use ref, and then at the start, it's going to be set to null. Great. Now we are ready to start creating the JSX of our component. We first have to check if a video exists. So we can say if no post, then we can return simply null. That's going to be fine. But in all cases, the post should exist because we should successfully fetch it. If the user clicks right here, then we know that the post already does exist. Now that we have that, we can create the wrapper div. Bear with me, we will be writing quite a few Tailwind classes, but we gotta set up the structure first. So the class name is going to be flex w-full absolute left dash 0, top dash 0, bg dash white, flex dash wrap, and on large devices, flex dash no wrap. If we save this, nothing is going to happen yet, but we have to add the inner wrapper div. This one is going to have a class name equal to relative, flex dash 2, w dash 1000 pixels. On large devices, the width is going to be, let's do 9 out of 12, which is 75%. It's going to be flex. Of course, we're going to center it. So justify content center, items dash center, bg dash blurred dash image. So that's going to be this image right here that's blurred. Although instead of that, we can use bg black 600, something like that. And we still cannot see anything, but we will be able to see it as soon as we add our video. Before that, let's add this cancel icon that we can see on the top right here. So we can put that icon inside of a div, and that div is going to have a class name equal to absolute, top dash 6, left dash 2, on large devices, left dash 6, flex, gap dash 6, and also z index is 50. Inside of there, we can add our p tag that's going to contain that icon. So that p tag, and inside of there, md outline cancel. Let's save it. We cannot yet see it. Let's give it a class name equal to text dash white and text dash 35 pixels to make it really large. Okay, so we're good with this part, but let's go a div below. So below this div right here. And finally, we're going to start setting up our video view. So this div is going to have a class name equal to relative. And then below that, we're going to have another div. And this div is going to have a class name equal to, on large devices, h-100vh. So it's going to take the full height. And usually, height is going to be 60vh. So if we save this now, it looks like we just have a white screen. But let's finally add the video element. We can add a video. And then that video is going to have a few additional properties, of course, the most important one being src. So let's say post.video.asset.url. If we save this, there we go. We can see our video right here on the top. It looks like our BG black is not being applied, so let's use that background image that I've already prepared before. Let's say bg-blurred-img. Let's also set the bg-no-repeat. We can set the bg to cover and also bg to center. Now we have that background. Of course, the video should show something like this. But let's continue styling it by giving the class name to this video an h-full and also cursor-pointer. Okay, so this is definitely one look. The alternative would be to simply give this a solid color. For example, something like bg-gray. Looks like that wasn't applied, so let's try with bg-black. There we go. So that's one look. And it looks good with this specific image, so I'm going to even keep it. Of course, if you prefer the blurred background, which is a standard, then you can use this set of classes right here. Now, our video is going to have a few additional properties, such as ref is going to be equal to the video ref. We're going to loop it, and it's going to have the onClick property, which for now, I'm going to set to be an empty callback function. Now, below our video and below one of our divs, we're going to create an additional div. This one is going to serve as a play icon. Of course, to be able to play something, we have to have the state of is playing or not is playing. So let's create a new use state, and let's call it playing. Set playing and at the start, it's going to be set to false. So now inside of this div, we can say if playing, only then show this right here. Or rather, if not playing, because we do want to show the play icon. Inside of there, we can render a button, and that button is going to render the BS fill play fill, a self-closing icon. We cannot see it yet. Let's apply some light class names, such as text-white, text-6XL, on large devices, text-8XL to make it really big. We can also give this button an onClick property, which for now is going to be an empty callback function. And finally, we have to absolutely position this button on top of our video. So, I was supposed to put this in a div right here. Remember, we have this ending div of the video, and then we have this div right here. Now we can give this div a class name equal to absolute. We can give it a top property of something like 50% and a left property of 50% as well to position it in the center. Since we have our white screen on the right side, we might want to position that a bit more to the left and to the bottom. So let's do 45% here and 45% there. Yep, this is looking more like it. We can also give it a cursor dash pointer. Great. So to be able to play this video, we can add a function once we click that button. And that's going to be on video click. And we can use that same function on when we click the video. Of course, we haven't yet created that function, so we can do so now. Const on video click is equal to, and that's going to be a basic arrow function. The functionality of that is going to be quite similar to what we already have in the homepage. We click it, it plays. We click it again, it stops. So let's visit our home card, or was it a video card, right? And then right here, we can find the piece of code responsible for playing and pausing the video. Here it is. We can copy that and then paste it straight inside of here. Remember that we had that issue that TypeScript didn't know what the ref was referring to. So we need to copy the HTML video ref element as well and paste it right here. Great. So now if you go back to our video and click and stop, it actually works, and this is looking great already. Phenomenal job so far. Let's continue with adding the mute and unmute functionality as well. So right below our video and right below our div that contains the is playing, we're going to go a bit down. So one div outside and then one more div outside to create that mute functionality. And we can do that by creating a new div and giving that div also a class name of absolute. We're going to position it on the bottom though, so we can say bottom 5. On large devices, bottom 10 to divide it a bit more from the bottom, right 5, and on large devices, right dash 10, and also cursor dash pointer. Now, inside of here, we're going to have the logic similar to the logic that's inside of the video card. Again, for muting and unmuting the videos. So that's going to be right here. Is video muted? Then set it to false or set it to true. So let's copy this part of the code from the video card and let's paste it right here. As you know, I'm allergic to not properly indented code. So let's hold Alt and then simply select a few lines. And now we can properly indent it right here. Of course, the is video muted and set is video muted haven't been declared yet. So if we go above, we can add that new state. So use state snippet is video muted, set is video muted, and false at the start. Now, if we scroll down, we cannot yet see it because it is text black here. But what we want to do is change this to text white. And there we go. At the bottom, it appears right here, and we can mute it and unmute it. Great. Of course, for the mute and unmute functionality to work, we cannot simply expect that changing the state is going to do it. We have to actually reference to the video and let it know, hey, mute or unmute my video. And I think that we missed that in the video card as well. So let's go back to the video card and let's make it work there. And then we can easily make it work for the detail component as well. So inside of here, below the on video press, we can add the use effect hook. That use effect is going to be called when we change the value of is video muted. There we go. What we can do is say if video ref (current), which means if we have a valid video selected. If we do, then we can say video ref .current .muted is equal to is video muted. So if this variable is set to true, then it is going to be muted. Otherwise, it will not be muted. Let's copy this use effect and let's go back to our detail page. And we can also paste it here as well. But in here, we'll have to do just a small alteration. We're going to check if the post exists as well. And we can also add the post as a dependency right here. Because if we go to a different detail page, we want to rerun this to check if it has been muted. Great. So now this is hopefully working properly. I don't think this video has sound, so I cannot properly test it out, but I believe that's going to be it. This button doesn't seem to be clickable though, so let's fix that. To return back to the home page, we need to have a router. Const router is equal to use router. And then we can go back to this p tag, and then we can give it a class name equal to cursor dash pointer. And we can also give it an on click. That's going to be a callback function where we can simply call the router dot back and call it as a function. So now if we click right here, we go back, we click right there, we go back yet again. Okay, that's great. Now we can focus on the right part of the screen, and that's going to be the caption, the details, the likes, as well as the comment section. So if we go down, all the way down below our mute, we can go 2 divs down. So this div, and then there's going to be one more div, because now we're going to the right side of the screen, right here. So go 2 divs down below the is video muted. There, we'll have to add and create a new wrapper div, especially for the right side of our screen. So let's give it a class name equal to, that's going to be relative, and also w-1000 pixels. There we go. So this is a huge sidebar. We can also change it to on medium devices. Width is going to be 900 pixels, like this. And also, we can change on large devices the width to be something like, let's do 700 pixels. There we go. So now this is looking good, but if we expand it, you can see it's gonna change appropriately. There we go. We also have a mobile view, which so far doesn't look that good, right? But it will soon. Trust the process. Now, inside of this div, we're gonna have an additional div that's going to serve as a wrapper, and it's going to have a class name equal to on large devices, margin top 20, right here, and usually margin top 10. Inside of here, we'll want to have something similar to what we have here, an image, a title, name, and then the caption of the post. So we might even be able to get away with going to the video card and copying that part of the code. So that's going to be a div that contains the image as well as the information about the user and the caption. So let's copy it. Let's go back. Let's make some space inside of here. So if we copy something wrong, we know that we're inside of here. And let's paste it. There we go. We have our div right there. If we save it and go back, this is not looking bad, but there are some adjustments that have to be made, as you can see. The name is showing up below the username, and the verified icon is showing on the right side. So let's make those small adjustments. I'm first going to indent this properly, remove the spaces, and let's fix it. The widths right here are going to be a bit different, so we can change the width and the height to 20 right here, and also to something like 16 on medium devices. We can also give it a margin left set to 4, which is going to move it a bit to the right. And the image is looking good, so now we can focus on the second part, which is messing with the title right here. So we have the div that contains 2 paragraphs, and we want to make them show in one column, so we can simply change this to flex-col. There we go. But it looks like there is some empty space right here, so let's inspect, and let's see where this empty space is coming from. Looks like this text has been centered. We no longer have to do that. So let's remove the items center from here. There we go. Now that disappeared. And also, we can add just a margin top 3 to this div right here to position it a bit more closely with the image. Now this is looking great, and we are ready to write the caption of our video. So let's go a bit down and let's exit 1 and 2 divs. So we're going to do it below this div right here. Let's create a p tag. That p tag is going to render the post.caption. Let's save it. There we go. I love coding. Let's give it a class name equal to padding x of 10, text-md, and text-gray-600. That's looking a bit better. Hopefully some other people are going to write some longer captions, but we can also make this just a bit bigger by saying text lg. There we go. This is looking good. Now we still have enough space to add this like button as well as this great comment section, which is a crucial part of every single social media application. So below this caption p tag, we can create a div, and that div is going to have a class name equal to margin top is 10 and padding x is 10 as well. Inside of there, we want to render the like button. So first of all, we can only like if we're currently logged in. So how are we going to know if we're logged in? Think about it. In the last video, we learned about ZooStand, and we learned on how easily can we get the currently logged in user. So to do that, the only thing we have to do is import use auth store from .. That's going to be .. one more time, store /auth store. And then right here, we can say const user profile is equal to use auth store. And we call it just like so. That's perfect. Now, if there is a user, so we can say if user profile and only then we can render the like button self-closing component. Of course, this is a component that we haven't yet created. So now if we save this, we're going to get an error, but that is completely fine. And then below our div, we're going to have our comment section. So we can say comments, another self-closing component as the like button. And that's going to be it for our quite lengthy video detail component. Now let's create those 2 components and let's import them in our video detail. We already know the names. That's going to be like button.tsx. We can run refce right there. And we can also render the comments.tsx. And also run refce right there. Now going back to the component, we can press Ctrl space to import it. Do the same thing for the comments. Or if that didn't work, we can manually import it by saying import like button from .. components like button and import comments from .. components and then comments. Perfect. So as you can see, we have those 2 components. And of course, the next logical thing to do is to jump straight into the like button and implement the like functionality as well as the looks of the button. So let's do that right away. To implement our like button, we can first import the use state and the use effect hooks from React. We're going to also use one and only component, which is going to be MD favorite. And that is coming from, that's going to be react-icons/MD. Inside of here, we'll also have to import the use auth store because we'll have to know which user already liked the photo and has the currently logged in user liked it or not. And that is coming from /store/auth store. Inside of our component, we're going to have one single state, which is going to be already liked. So has the user already liked the video? And at the start, it's going to be set to false. We can also instantiate our user. So we can say const user profile is going to be equal to use auth store. And that's going to be user right here. There we go. Now we can start creating the JSX. This div is going to be a wrapper div. So we can give it a class name equal to, and let's do it gap-6. Inside of that div, we're going to have another div, and this one is going to have a class name equal to empty4 for margin top, flex call, justify-center, items-center, and cursor-pointer. So we're creating our button. Now, based on the already liked state, we can either show it as liked or not liked. So we can say if already liked. And when I say if, I mean using the ternary operator. So there we go. If already liked, we're going to return a div that's going to render the MD favorite. There we go. And it's going to have a class name equal to text-lg, and on medium devices, text-2xl. Of course, every ternary has to have the else statement. So if they haven't already liked, then we can essentially create another div. Let's give some styles if we have already liked. So that's going to be class name. And before we start writing, let's switch this to true, just so we can see it right there. Right now, we cannot see it because it's white. So what we can do is continue adding the class names. bg-primary, rounded-full, p-2 for padding, md, p-4, and text dash. We're going to use that same F51997 color and save it. Or the like is true, so we should be able to see it somewhere right here. But the website is still showing like button. So let me reload it. And there we go. Our like button is right here. Now we can create an on click on that div, and we're going to call it handle dislike. Now we can duplicate essentially that entire div, paste it right here, and we're going to call this handle like, and we can remove this text color. So that's going to be the only difference between the two. There we go. Now, of course, we have to create those two handle like and handle dislike functions. And these functions are going to be coming from the details page. So we can go back to the video detail and we can create a new handle like function. We can do that just below our use effect, const handle like. It's going to be an asynchronous function that's going to accept the like, which is going to be of a type Boolean. And we can say if user profile exists, meaning if we have a user, then we have to trigger the like button. So to do that, we can say const response is equal to await axios.put. So whenever you want to update something, we use a put request. We can form our API URL. We can do base URL, close it, and then that's going to be /API/like. There we go. And then as the second parameter, we can pass an object of the things we want to send. And that is going to be the user ID. So right here, we can pass the user ID. that's going to be equal to the user profile dot underscore ID. We can also pass the post ID. So user has to like a specific post, which is post dot underscore ID. And finally, like. This is going to be a Boolean type, true or false. Do we want to like or dislike? Great. It looks like TypeScript is complaining a bit about our user profile, so I'm simply going to say any for now. There we go. And of course, this is not going to work yet because we haven't implemented the like path on our backend inside of next.js. But for now, let's simply pass the handle like button all the way to our like button component. And we can do that by simply saying handle like is equal to, that's going to be a call to the handle like, and that's going to be true. Or if we want to handle dislike, that's going to be the call to the handle like, but we're going to pass it as false. There we go. So now we're accepting these two different properties. We can now go inside of the like button, and we can now accept two different props, handle like and handle dislike. As you know, we're using TypeScript, so we have to declare the interface I props. In there, we can say handle like is a function, and this is the first time we're declaring a function. This is how it looks like. You have to say, hey, it's a function, and then you have to specify what does it return. If it doesn't return anything, then you have to say void, like this. And we can also add the handle dislike. And now we can add that iProps right here. There we go. TypeScript is no longer complaining, and now we have our button. Finally, below our button, we want to have a p tag that's going to have a class name equal to text-md and font-semi-bold. And inside of there, for now, we can write it like this statically, likes question mark dot length. So give us the number of likes or give us a number 0. That's what we're going to do. For now, we don't have access to that likes object, so we can simply leave it like this. Later on, of course, we're going to switch that. Now, of course, is the time to implement the real like functionality. So we can go back to the handle like function, see what kind of endpoint did we specify. So that's going to be /API/like. So let's go inside of the API and let's create a new like endpoint. So right here, we can say like.ts. We can again copy the auth to follow the same structure. And inside of here, we're going to need one additional import, which is going to be import UUID. This stands for unique identifier. And we can import it from UUID version 4. This is going to allow us to attach a unique identifier to every single like. Now we can remove what's inside of here, and we'll be tracking the put requests. Perfect. So we first need to get everything from the body. So we can say const, give me the user ID, give me the post ID, and the like. That's a Boolean, whether we want to like or dislike. And then that's going to be equal to reg.body. So we are destructuring that data. What we can do then is say const data is equal to await client dot patch. So we want to patch something, change something in the client. Let's put this in a new line. We want to patch the post by the post ID. We want to set if missing. So this is only going to happen for the first like. We want to set likes to be an empty array. Then we want to insert. We want to insert after, meaning at the end. And then after what? Well, after a string of likes -1. This is going to be the end of the array. And then what do we want to insert? Well, that's going to be a new object that's going to have the underscore key property equal to UUID, we call it, and it's going to have a ref equal to the user ID so that we know who liked the post. And then finally, after the insert, we have to call the .commit. That's going to save it. And if you hover over it, it's really cool because it gives you all the information about what's happening. Now, this is only going to happen if we want to like the post. So we can say if like. There we go. But if we are not liking it, then we can add the else right here. Then we want to await the client. We also want to patch the document. So we can say .patch the post ID. But in here, we want to call the unset function, and we want to unset the likes, or rather underscore reference is equal to, and then that's going to be the user ID. So what we're doing here is we are checking all the likes, and we're trying to find the like inside of the likes array that has the underscore ref equal to the user ID. Keep in mind, you have to add the double quoted strings right here, and then we want to remove it, and then we want to commit. So this is the functionality to like and unlike posts using Sanity. Then we're going to get the data back, and we can simply say res.status 200 and then .json, and we can return that updated post. Perfect. So this was our Next.js backend route for liking and unliking the posts. Now we can go back to our handle like, and we are now getting back the data for that post. So let's destructure the data. And what we can do is set the post to be equal to. Now, whenever you set objects, you have to, of course, open up the new object. You want to spread the previous state of the post, and then you want to select the property which you want to update. In this case, that's going to be likes, which is equal to new updated data.likes. Perfect. Looks like we have one extra brace, but once that is fixed, this is looking great to me. So now our post is actually being updated. And what we can do is now scroll down to the like button, and we can pass the likes prop equal to post.likes. Again, TypeScript is going to complain, but if we go back to the like button, we can add that likes now to the iProps, and likes is going to be an array of objects. For now, we can say an array of any, and we can accept it right here as a prop. Now you can see we have the likes.length, so let's simply add braces around this so we can see the actual logic. There we go. It says 0 right now, and we can switch this liked to false because we haven't already liked. Now, as you can see, the numbers are just adding up right now, which doesn't seem right. So for the functionality to fully work, what we have to do is create a new use effect. This use effect is going to be called whenever the likes array changes. And inside of there, we want to play with the current likes. So first of all, we have to figure out if the user has already liked the post. And we can do that by filtering the likes. So we can say const filter likes is equal to likes (filter). We get one specific item, which is a like, and then we want to check if the item ._ref is equal to the user profile ._id. There we go. So we're checking if the likes array contains the like from our own user. We have to add a question mark right here because the user profile might not always exist. And again, TypeScript is complaining. So for now, I'm just going to say that the user profile can be of an any type. And now we can work with that filter likes right here by saying if filter likes (length) is greater than 0. So if the user did like the post, then we can set the already liked to true. Else, we can set already liked to false. There we go. And we can also add the filter likes to the dependency array. So now I'm going to reload the page, and you can notice that we have 3 likes right here. Let's click it again, and it resets to 0 for some reason. Let's reload one more time. I'm going to click it one more time. There we go. Looks good. Let's try to dislike it. And it goes back to 0. So now we have the perfect like button functionality. This is looking great to me. You can see that it does take some time for it to update, but that's because we are actually reaching out all the way to Sanity's database and then updating it there and letting the user know that it has been liked. So this is great. Of course, if you come from a different account and like it, this is gonna be 2. Perfect. It would look a bit better if the like button was on the left side. So let's see what is up with that. Currently, it is in the center. So let's try giving it a flex property. And there we go. Now it moved to the center. With that said, our like functionality and the like design are done as well. And the next step is to implement the comments. So let's go ahead and close all of the like buttons and everything else. And let's open up the comments.tsx file. By the way, if you're wondering how I did this, and by this I mean I didn't go to the file tree and search for comments, I just press Control space. It should be Command space on Mac as well. So just press Control Command space, search for the file, press Enter, and bam, you're there. So this is a much quicker way to traverse your file tree. Just a little quick tip from JavaScript Mastery. Now onto the next part, which is working with comments. To start implementing the great comment functionality, we can start with a few imports as we always do. So let's import image from next/image. Let's import the link from next/link. Let's also import the go verified from react-icons/go. Let's also import the use auth store from /store/auth store. And we can also import our no results component from /no results. There we go. So this is looking good to me when it comes to the imports, and now we can focus on writing out the JSX. We can start by creating a wrapper div for the comments and giving it a class name equal to border-top or t-2, border-gray-200. There we go. So now we've made that nice line to differentiate the like and the comment. Let's give it a padding top of 4, a padding x of 10, bg dash, let's do something like f8, f8, f8 for that light grayish color. Let's give it a border-b-2, and also on large devices, padding bottom 0, padding bottom usually 100 pixels. There we go. So this is looking good to me so far. Of course, we cannot yet see anything. So let's add another div inside of it. This div is going to have a class name equal to overflow-scroll. And on large devices, height is going to be 475 pixels. So now we have that nice comment section, which we can scroll through. Now inside of there, we're going to loop over the actual comments data. For now, we don't have those comments yet. So of course, we have to work on making the comment functionality work first. And to do that, we can implement the form to add a comment. What we can do for now here is just say if comments dot length. So if there are some comments, and this comments for now is going to be just a static comments variable, which is going to be set to an empty array. So if comments.length exist, then we can return a div that's going to say videos. And then if they don't exist, then we can return the no results component. Now, as we are using TypeScript, we already know that we need to pass a text in there. So we can say something like text is equal to no comments yet. Be the first one to add a comment. There we go. Now it looks like we haven't yet implemented our no results component. That is a component that's going to show up when there are no videos or no comments. So let's control click into it and let's focus on implementing the no results first. it's going to be quite a simple component. We can import one single icon. So import md outline video cam off. And that's coming from react-icons/md. Inside of there, we can have one outer div that's going to have a class name equal to flex-column, justify-center, items-center, h-full, and width-full, so w full. There we go. Inside of there, we want to have a p tag, and that p tag is going to have a class name of text-8xl, so just making the text inside of it big. And there we want to render the md outline video cam off. There we go, you can see it right now. And below that, we can enter the p. That p is going to render the text that we passed as a prop. And we can also give it a class name equal to text-2xl, text-center. Okay, so we can see that there is just a bit too much text, so let's simply leave the no comments yet right here. And in this case, a crossed out comment would make more sense than a video, right? So by quickly searching up the React icons and entering the comment, I found this one to work the best, bi comment x. So let's simply import the bi comment x, and that's coming from react-icons/bi. What we can do right now is say if text is triple equal to, we can copy the thing that we passed right here in the comment. That's going to be no comments yet. So if the text is equal to no comments yet, then we can show the bi comment x. Otherwise, we can show the md outline video cam off. There we go. So now if we save this, let's indent it properly. There we go. Want to keep the code quality high. Go back. And it looks like I misspelled the icons right here. And there we go. No comments yet. And usually, if we call the no results, which can also be used for no videos, then we're going to show the md outline video cam off. So this is looking great to me. We can go back to our comments. And now we can focus on implementing that form. So right below this div, we can open a new dynamic block of code and say if user profile, so if the user profile exists, and this user profile, of course, is coming from const user profile is equal to use auth store. There we go. So if user profile exists, then we, of course, can show the comment form. Otherwise, who is going to comment, right? They don't have a profile. So we can give this a class name of absolute, bottom-0 and left-0. Padding bottom is 6, padding x is going to be 2, and on medium devices, padding x is going to be 10. There we go. Inside of there, we can render a form, and that form is going to have a onSubmit property, which for now can be set to empty, and we can give it a class name equal to flex and gap-4. Now, of course, it's going to complain as our onSubmit is empty. So let's add an empty callback function in there. Okay. Inside of the form, we're going to have our self-closing input tag. Of course, every single input needs to have a value. And the value of this input is for now going to be an empty string. Of course, the onChange goes hand in hand with the value. For now, we can leave that as an empty callback function. We can also add a placeholder, which is going to be equal to add comment. And we can see it right here. Of course, it's not looking that good. So let's style it a bit. Let's give it a class name equal to bg-primary. Let's also do padding x of 6 and padding y of 4 to give it a bit more height. Text-medium. font-medium to increase the font size, border-2, width, or W, of 250 pixels. On medium devices, width can be even larger, of up to 750 pixels. There we go. This might be a bit too much, so let's just do something like 700. Okay, but we can also change it on large. So right here we can say large is, let's do 350 pixels on large. And that's going to be width, of course. There we go. Let's also give it a border-gray-100. Let's give it a focus outline-none. On focus, we want to change the border to 2. And also on focus, we want to change the color of the border. So border gray 300. It's going to be flex 1 and rounded-LG. So now we have a beautiful input right here. When we click it, we have a nice border as well. Great. Below our input, we're going to also have a button. This button is going to have a special variable that's going to check if is currently posting comment. If it is, it's going to say commenting, ... else it's going to say comment. Of course, this is posting comment doesn't exist yet, so I'm going to create the fake is posting comment right now, set to false. There we go. So now we have a comment button. Of course, it doesn't really look like a button. So let's give it some class names, such as text-md and text-gray-400. Okay, there we go. So it is next to the input, so it makes a lot of sense right here. That is great. We can also give it a non-click, which for now is going to be set to an empty callback function. There we go. The JSX of our comment section is now done. Of course, now comes the main part, and that is allowing users to post comments. To create our add comment functionality, let's go back to the details page. So that's going to be pages, detail, and we can scroll all the way up and let's go below the handle-like function. Right here, we can create a new function, const add comment. That's going to be an asynchronous function because it's going to take some time to execute. And right here, we're going to get one param, and that is going to be the submit event. We need to call the e.prevent default because otherwise our website would reload once we posted the comment. So this is necessary. And then we need to check if the user is logged in. So if the user profile exists. We also have to check if the comment exists. So if user profile and comment exists. Now this comment right here will be a state field. So let's create a new use state. That's going to be comment and set comment at the start set to an empty string. Remember, we also have that use state, which is posting comment. So that is here as well. And that's going to be set to false at the start. And now we can make use of those. So we are checking if the user profile exists and if the comment exists. In that case, we want to set is posting comment to true because we're starting with the upload process. Then we want to get the response. So we can say const response is equal to await axios.put. So we're making another put request. When you want to add something to the document, you want to use the put request. And we're going to call the base_URL /API/post and then /post._ID. So we need to know on which video are we posting the comment. And as the second parameter, we're going to pass the object that's going to contain the user ID, which is equal to user profile._ID and the actual comment itself. There we go. So now that comment is actually coming from the input. So we have to pass those states all the way down to our comments. So to our comments, we can pass the comment, which is going to be comment coming from state, the set comment, which is a set state function, so set comment. We can also pass that add comment, which is the function that we just created. And we can also pass that is posting comment as well. Also, as we added the likes as post.likes, in here we can add all the comments by saying comments is equal to post.comments. So now we're passing a lot of props to our comments, but as you can see, TypeScript is complaining. So let's let TypeScript know what we're actually doing. We're going to create a new interface, which is going to be iProps, and we can add everything we mentioned, is posting comment. That's going to be a Boolean. We can also add a comment itself, which is going to be a string. Then we're going to have the set comment, which is a function. We learned that you can do a function like this, so returns a void, and also add comment, which is also going to be a function. There we go. Finally, we're going to have the comments, which is going to be an array of comments. So this is the first time that we're going to use an additional interface to declare how the comment itself is looking. One comment is going to have the comment, which is going to be a string. It's going to have the optional length property, which is going to be set to a number. And by the way, when you want to specify that a property is optional, you just add a question mark right here. That means that it may have it or it may not. Our comment also has its own key property. So let's add it right here. And also a posted by. Of course, we need to know who created it. That's going to be an object that's going to have a reference string, and it's also going to have an underscore ID equal to a string. Great. And with that said, we have the interface for our comment. And the only thing we have to do now is say that comments is the array of I comments. And we specify that it is an array by putting the array sign right here. There we go. So now we can finally get all of the props right here. Now, what do you think of this? Do you think this is a bit too much work, and that if we didn't use TypeScript, we would already have the comment functionality implemented? Or do you think that it's going to be useful, that now we can specify comment.something, and TypeScript is letting us know whether we are right or wrong in using this property? Please let me know down in the comments. I need to hear your thoughts, whether you want me to use TypeScript in future videos as well or not. Great. With that said, we can now get all of our props, like the comment, set comment, add comment, comments, and then is posting comment. A lot of comments right there. And that's going to be the I props. Perfect. We can now remove our fake dummy variables. And it looks like we have just one error, which is happening here. We are looping over the comments and checking for the comments.length, but we cannot read property length of null. So let's add the optional question mark right here. And there we go. It's going to work now. Perfect. So now we can also add the value of the comment to our input. And also, when we update it, so when we type something, we need to keep track of that. So we can get the event. And on every keystroke, we can set the comment to be equal to e.target.value.trim. So we don't want to keep some extra leading and trailing white space in the comment. There we go. Now, as you can see, TypeScript is again complaining, saying that it expected 0 arguments, but it got 1. So we have to specify that this function indeed does require some parameters. And in this case, these types are built into React. That's going to be dispatch and set state action. So we can import it from there and say the set comment is actually a dispatcher, and it's going to be of a set state action type. And also it's going to be a string. So this is a nested type right here. I know it looks a bit confusing, but yeah, it is what it is with TypeScript. And also with add comment, we're going to get one prop, which is going to be event, which is react.form event. There we go. So I think now we should be good to go with TypeScript. We have the comment, set comment, and we want to do something on the button click. So once we click the button, we want to add the comment. Great. Now we also have the form submit. So if we submit the form, we can also add the comment. Great. So now, once we can finally add the comment and click comment, then we're going to go back. We can go to the add comment and see what's going to happen. We have a response. We have repaired our API call. We're going to make a call to /API/post, post ID, and that's going to be a put. So finally, we can go back to API, post ID, and now we're only expecting a GET request right here, but now we want to add a PUT request as well. So to do that, we can add an else if right here, say rec.method is == PUT. In that case, we need to get the comment and the user ID from the body. So const comment and the user ID are equal to the rec.body. Next, we're going to get the ID by saying const ID, and that can be of a type any for now, is equal to rec.query. So that is that URL that we're going to once we leave the comment. And then we want to do something similar to what we've done when we like the post. So we can go back to the like and do something exactly like this. We can copy this entire data object up to the first commit. Let's copy it, go back, and right here below, we can paste that. We don't need this like, so we can just say const data is await client. We can indent all of this properly. There we go. We want to patch the ID, so the post with the ID. We want to set if missing, not likes this time, but rather comments. And we want to insert after the last of the comments. We want to add a comment that's going to be of a string comment. So we can essentially just use the shortcut. The key is going to be equal to the UUID, which we can import at the top from UUID version 4. And then instead of the ref, we're going to add the posted by. So the comment needs to have the posted by, which is going to be underscore type of posted by, and also underscore ref equal to user ID. There we go. And finally, we commit. Once we add that, that's going to give us back the comment we just created. So we can say res.status 200.json and then data. There we go. So we just implemented the functionality to add a comment. That's great. Now let's go back. Now inside of here, inside of the data, if we destructure it, we are now expecting to get that comment. And what are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to update the post. So we can say set post, do a similar thing as we've done with the likes. So we spread all of the post properties first, and then we set the comments to be equal to data.comments. We can also clear our input field to set comment to be an empty string, and we can set is posting to be set to false as we're not posting anymore. And that's going to be it for the add comment functionality. Now, how are we going to dare? How are we going to try ahead and after writing all of this code, let's try to leave a comment. So let's try to do something meaningful. This guy is coding something. Seems like a movie hacker scene. So let's say something like, you're like a hacker. It looks like it's not allowing me to add spaces, and that's most likely because of that trim that we've added. So let's go back to the comments, and let's try to maybe remove that trim for now. And let's see if that fixes it. So you're like a hacker, and now we're good. Yeah. So now let's leave that meaningful comment. Commenting, okay, it went away. Of course, we cannot yet see it here as we're not rendering anything, But if we go to our local host, 3333, and go under comment, there is nothing there. Okay, so after you write this much code, don't expect that it's going to work on the first time. But still, let's try to open up the console and figure out where did that comment go. So if I go right here, if I unzoom this just a bit and go to the console, we can see that we have an error right here. And this error is happening inside of the comment, and it's saying cannot read property null, reading length. Let's just try to remove this and then leave one more comment. This time I'm gonna say just test. Okay, it seems like it did went through. I'm gonna open up the network tab and I'm gonna leave another comment. Okay, we got a 200. So if we expand this a bit, it looks like the comment went through successfully. And we're back in our Sanity Studio. While we're here, we can remove the fake JavaScript mastery. Before we do that, we have to remove their my first video post, which is also fake. So let's go ahead and delete it. And let's go back to user and let's remove that fake JavaScript mastery. We only want to keep the new one created right from inside of our application. There we go. Okay, so let's go to our new post, I love coding. And if we go under comments, you can see you're like a hacker. And we can see who that comment was posted by. That is phenomenal. Inside of here, you can see on the comment that we have the comment and it is empty. We haven't yet created a document of that type, but that is completely fine. The most important thing is that we indeed have created a reference right here pointing to this specific post and that we know who created it. So we're good in that regard. Great. We can go back and we'll have to figure out how are we going to display those posts. So that's going to be our next task, and that is right inside of here. If comments exist, then we want to show them. But before going over all of our comments, we'll have to take a little detour. So we have to first fetch all of the accounts that exist on TickTick application. The reason for that is that we want to first of all display them right here as suggested accounts, and then we can loop over those accounts, get their names and profile images, and then loop over the comments. So what we'll be doing next is fetching all the users to show them in the suggested accounts, and then we're gonna go back to comments and loop over them to display their comments. Great. With that said, we can go back to the code, and instead of focusing on the comment section again, we can go all the way to our use auth store, because all users are also something that we'll want to keep in our store. So right here, auth store is going to be our next step. Inside of here, we're first going to import, in curly braces, our base underscore URL, and that is coming from /utils. We can even control click it to go into it, and this is that same environment variable that we created before. With that in mind, we can now add an additional function to our auth store. That is going to be fetch all users. It's going to be an asynchronous function, and what we want to do in there is say const response is equal to await axios.get. And we want to call our base URL like this, and then /API /users. So we need to create a new endpoint to fetch all users. And let's do that right away. Of course, let's add a comma right here so that we don't have any errors. So now we can go into our API. So that's going to be pages. Now we can go to our file explorer. We can open up our pages, API, and then we can create our new users.ts file. This is going to be its own endpoint. We can copy everything we have from auth, as we usually do, to have that basic structure. Now, inside of here, we are going to need the client, but we're going to also need an additional query. That's going to be import all users query, which is coming from // utils / queries. So right here, queries plural. And if you control click it, you can see that we are simply getting all of the documents that have the type equal to user. Great. So now inside of here, we can remove what we currently have. And we need to switch this to a GET request. So if rec.method is get, const data is equal to await client.fetch, and then all users query, and we call that as a function as well. So we can say if data exists, then we want to res that status, that's going to be 200, and then .json, we send back .data. Else what we can do is res.json, something like an empty array. Great. So now we created our endpoint to fetch the users, and we can go back to our auth store, and now we can make use of that response. So we can use the setter function that Zoostan provides for us, and we can say set an object where all users is equal to response.data. So now we have that new all users variable, and we have to add that to our Zoostan store. So all users is equal to an empty array at the start, but in here we are populating it. And believe it or not, that's the only thing we have to do to now be able to fetch the fetch all users function right inside of all of our functional components. So the next step is going to be to go to our components and then suggested accounts. This is the first place where we need to call all of our users. Inside of here, we can import the use effect hook coming from React. And we can also import the image coming from next/image, as well as import the link coming from next/link. We can import an icon called go verified, and that's coming from react-icons/go. We can also import the use auth store from /store/auth store. That is this store right here to which we added our fetch all users function. So what we can do is we can immediately call it by saying const fetch all users, as well as all users themselves is equal to use auth store, and we call it as a hook. Now what we can do is create a new use effect. So use effect. It's only going to be called at the start, at the initial render. So we can set the dependency array to be an empty array. And then we can also just simply call fetch all users and pass the fetch all users right here, because this function is not going to change. So this means that as soon as the suggested accounts loads, we want to fetch all users, and we immediately get access to the variable of all users. So now let's make use of those users. In our JSX, we're going to create our wrapper div, which is going to have a class name equal to, on large devices, border-b-2, border-gray-200, and padding bottom 4. And if you're not sure what we're creating right now, it's going to be this part right here, suggested accounts. You can see that many different people already used our great TickTick application, so we have a variety of accounts, but this is what we're creating. So right here, we can add a p tag, and this p tag is going to say suggested accounts. So we can also check it on our end. There we go. Doesn't look that good. Let's expand it a bit to see the actual sidebar. There we go. And we can also style it a bit. So I'm going to give it a class name equal to text-gray-500, font-semi-bold, margin 3, margin top 4, hidden usually, but then visible only on extra large devices. So now we can see the suggested accounts right here. Now let's open up a div inside of which our users will go. Inside of here, we can loop over all of the users. So we can say all users.map, but there is something we are going to do before we map over the users. And that something is going to be the .slice method. So we only want to take the first couple of users. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be more than enough. So we can do from 0 to 6. That way, we won't be seeing 100 of suggested accounts. Now, inside of there, we get each user, and what we can do is create a link that points to their profile page. This link is going to have an href equal to, let's make it dynamic, of course, /profile /user._id. And we also have to provide a key, which is going to be equal to user._id. There we go. Now, what you can see is happening right here is that TypeScript doesn't know that we have the _ID on the type of user. So what we can do is say user is of a type interface user. And of course, we have to create that type. That was one of the types that we imported inside of our application. So we can simply immediately get it by saying import interface user from /types. Now, if we check that out, you can see that the user has the _ID, _type, username, and an image. So now TypeScript knows that we do have that _ID property on the user object. Now, inside of that link, we're going to have a div. And this div is going to have a class name equal to flex, gap-3. On hover, we can change the background to primary, padding -2, cursor -pointer, so that we know it's clickable, font -semi-bold, and rounded. Now, if we save this, we cannot yet see anything, but if we hover, we do see a line. And then inside of there, we can render an additional div that's going to serve as a wrapper for our image. So we can give it a class name equal to w-8 and h-8. Finally, inside of there, we can render the self-closing image tag. This image is going to have a source equal to user.image. We also need to give it a width of something like 34 and a height of something like 34 as well. We can give it a class name of rounded-full to make it into a circle, and an alt tag equal to user profile. Finally, a layout equal to responsive. Now, if we save this, you can see that we only have one, because on our version of the application, there is only one user, and that is JavaScript Mastery. But the important thing is that everything is working properly. Now, below this div containing the image, we can create another div that's going to contain, of course, the text and the name. So that's going to be class name is equal to hidden on smaller devices, but on larger devices, we can make it a block, so it's going to be visible. That's going to be if we collapse this a bit, and then we only want to show the image. Great. So if we're not on the small device, we can render a p tag that's going to render the user.username. And what we can do is also inside of that p tag, so right here, we can render the go verified icon. In our version of the application, everybody is verified. Now, there we go. You can already see that. What we can do is apply some class names to it as well. So let's say class name is equal to flex, gap-1, items-center, text-md, font-bold, text-primary, and lowercase. There we go. Now, this is going to be like our username. So what we can do is replace all the spaces from that username. And we can easily do that by saying .replace all. We want to replace all spaces with no space, like this. So now you can see JavaScript Mastery, all lowercase. We can also change the color of our verified by giving it a class name equal to text-blue-400. This is going to be a class name, not a glass name. And let's just close this string right here. There we go, already looking much better. Now below this p tag, we're going to add an additional p tag where we simply want to render the user.username. So same thing we rendered before, but not replacing these spaces right there. And we can give it a class name equal to capitalize, as well as text gray 400 and text dash extra small. There we go. So now we have a beautiful suggested account there. Of course, when there are more accounts, it's gonna look something like this. And now we can actually loop over all of the profiles and all of the comments that they've left. So what we have to do now is go into our comments component. And remember, we are right here. We simply said videos, we should have said comments, but now our goal is to actually fetch all user profiles, fetch their comments, and then display them here. So we can do that right away. First thing we have to do is incredibly simple, and that is to get all users from the use auth store. Now we immediately get it because we already used the use auth store right here. Now, instead of this div that says comments, what we can do is check for the comments length, and then we can loop over the comments. So let's say comments like this, dot map, and then we get each individual item. That's going to be a comment and an index. So let's do IDX, short for index. And we want to return something instantly, so don't put curly braces, put just parentheses. What we want to return is going to be a React fragment to wrap everything up. And then inside of there, this might seem a bit weird, but bear with me. We want to map over all of the users. So all users dot map. We're going to get each individual user. And then for each individual user, we want to see which comments have they posted. So we can say user dot underscore ID. If that is triple equal to item dot posted by dot ID, like this. So has the user, this user right here, posted this specific comment? And there is one more thing we have to check. So we can put this in a parenthesis and we can say, or item dot posted by dot ref. So we can look for a ref or we can look for an ID. With that said, we have to specify that our user is of a type I user. And of course, we have to import that from the top. So let's import interface user for the types from /types. There we go. And now in this case, TypeScript even saves me and says property ref does not exist on this type. Did you mean underscore ref? And yes, that is indeed case. I meant to say underscore ref right here. That is great. Now, if this is true, then we want to render something. So we can say and we want to render a div. And this div is going to have a class name equal to p-2 for padding and items-center. We can also give it a key equal to IDX or index. There, we want to render the link to that user's profile because we'll show the actual name of the person that commented. And that's going to be the same that we've done just a bit before. So /profile /user._ID. Inside of there, we can do a really similar process we've just done for the suggested accounts. So we're going to have a div that contains the image, and then below that, we're going to have a p tag with their name. So we can essentially copy this div, and we can copy the div below. And we can paste it right here inside of the comments. Let's indent this properly. There we go. Let's save it. And we're going to, of course, have a couple of errors. First, we can see that multiple children were passed to our link component. And that is not what we want to do. So let's first wrap both of our divs with one additional wrapper div. This div is going to have a class name equal to flex, items-start, and gap-3. Great. So now we can move those two divs right a bit above inside of that new wrapper div, and we can indent that properly. There we go. You can see JavaScript mastery right here. And now, of course, for the main part, we can go outside of our link, create a new div, and that's going to be a place for the actual comment message. So again, let's create that div. There we go. And we can create a p tag that's going to contain the item.comment. You're like a hacker. There we go. That's the demo comment we left. Great. I can try unzooming this a bit and now adding an additional comment to see if everything's gonna work. Again, the video is about hacking. He's scrolling to the terminal. I'm gonna say, nice scrolling, and comment. And there we go. The comment appears right here and is also saved inside of our Sanity database. Isn't that great? Now, if we click on the comment though, or if we click right here, it's going to lead us to a profile page, which for now is a 404. Great. So our next step is to create a new page under pages. That's going to be a new folder called profile. And then if you look at the URL right here, that's going to be a profile and then / the ID of the profile. So let's create a new file, square brackets, id.ts. Inside of there, we can simply create a const profile like this. For now, it can simply return an empty div that's going to say something like profile. And finally, we are going to say export default profile. You can notice that we have some errors right now because we didn't name our file tsx. So let's change that and add an X right here, and we are good to go. So now if we reload the page, you can see that we now have a profile right here. But that profile should look something like this. We should have a profile photo, again the name, and we should have the videos and the liked videos right here, which we can switch between. That is perfect. So let's go ahead and create our profile page right away. To start creating our profile page, as always, we can start with a few imports. We can import the use state as well as the use effect hook coming from React. We can also import the image coming from next.js/image. We need that same go verified icon coming from react-icons /go. And we also need to import Axios from Axios. There are a couple of internal imports as well, such as import video card from /components /video card, and also import no results from /components /no results. While we're here, we can also import the types, such as interface user or iUser and video from /types. And finally, we also need to get the base underscore URL from /utils. There we go. Perfect. Now, as you already know, when we have a folder and then the ID like this, that means that we need to do some data fetching. And in next.js, we fetch the data using the get server-side props function. So right below our profile component, we can say export const get server-side props is equal to an async function like so. And we can just open up the code block. Now, this function is going to get one param, which we first have to destructure like this, and then destructure the params out of there, and then get the ID like this. The name of this param is going to be the same as these letters right here inside of the square brackets. So in this case, we have params. And we also have to define the type of those params. So we can open up the type block. We can say params, and then say ID is of a type string. There we go. So now we have defined the ID. We know that it is a string. And we can prepare to fetch the user profile by saying const res as response is equal to await axios.get. We want to get the base underscore URL / profile and then / that's going to be ID. There we go. Now, of course, we have to check if this endpoint exists. So let's go to API and let's find the profile. As you can see, if we look inside of our API, the profile doesn't exist yet. So let's create a new folder called profile. And then inside of there, we can create the ID inside of square brackets .ts. This route is going to have a similar structure to other routes, so we can simply import the auth and then paste it here. Inside of here, we'll have to add another // to our utils client. Inside of here, we can also import the single user query coming from, bear with me, // utils / that's going to be queries. Great. So now inside of here, we can remove everything inside of this block, and we're going to have a GET request instead of a POST request. There, we can first fetch the ID from rec.query. Remember, we're making a call to something like this, /API, /profile, / and then a specific ID right here, like 252525. If we have that, then this variable right here is going to get populated with this number. Great. Now let's create our query. Const query is equal to single user query. We call it as a function and then pass the ID. We have to, of course, add the equal sign right here. Perfect. Now we can fetch that user by saying const user is equal to await client.fetch, and then we're going to pass that query. And finally, we can res that status of 200, and we can append the .json and then pass over the user. But the user won't be the only thing we want to return from this file. We also need to fetch all the posts that were created by that specific user, as well as all of the posts that that user liked. So we can get two additional queries. That's going to be user created posts query, as well as user liked post query, like this. And now, below our const query, we can say const user videos query is equal to user created posts query, and we can pass in the ID. And now we can duplicate that one more time and change this to user liked videos query and user liked posts query. There we go. And of course, we need to fetch that data. So we can say const user videos is equal to await client.fetch user videos query. And finally, const user liked videos is equal to await client.fetch user liked videos, or rather liked posts query. There we go. And then we can copy the name of this variable right here. Now, instead of passing the user, we can pass an object containing the user, which is equal to user0, so the first profile that matches, and also containing the user videos, as well as the user liked videos. There we go. So now we're passing everything we need to inside of our profile component. Now we can work with that right here from the res, and we can say return props, and then we pass the data, which is equal to res.data. Now we know that our component is accepting data as a prop, but we can instantly see that it currently has a type of any. So using TypeScript, we have to define of which type will this data be. So we can say interface iProps contains the data object that then has the user property equal to iUser, has the user videos equal to video, but an array of videos, and also has the user liked videos property and is equal to also an array of videos. So now if we say data, we can say that is equal to iProps, and now TypeScript knows exactly what is contained inside of our props data object. With that said, we now have all the data to start creating the profile page. But first, let's navigate to it. If I click right here from the home page, you're going to notice that this doesn't really move us to the profile page. So let's fix that. That's going to be inside of the video card. So we can go inside of the video card component, and you'll see a link right there. This link, of course, has to point to our profile. So right here, we can make this dynamic, and then we can say template string /profile / and then post dot posted by dot underscore ID. There we go. And now we can do something similar with this link as well. This one is also going to point to the profile. So we can copy this entire href and paste it here. That's when we click on the image right here. And now if we go back, we can click right here and we should be navigated to a profile, but nothing happens. And the reason why nothing happens is because if we go back to our profile, you can notice that I've made a small mistake right here. I simply said base URL / profile, and that should have been base URL / API / profile. So if we fix this little error and now click right here, you can see that we are instantly re-navigated to the profile component. And now we can make use of this data and code out the profile component. The first part of the profile component is going to be this big profile image and the username and the name. And we can take that code from our video card. If we go right here, you can notice that we have the photo, and we can grab that code from our suggested accounts, as it is quite similar. Photo, username, and then name. So let's go to our suggested accounts. Let's find the div that wraps the image, as well as the div that wraps the username. We can take those two divs, go back to the profile, and then right here, we're going to have one div that's going to serve as a wrapper. So we can give it a class name equal to w-full. We're going to have one more inner div that's going to have a class name equal to flex gap-6. On medium devices, gap-10, margin bottom 4, bg-white, and w-full. And now finally, inside of there, we're going to paste what we copied. That's going to be the image as well as the name. And you can see we're going for the user.image and user.username, but our user is hidden inside of the data. So we can destructure that. We can say const user videos, and user liked videos. All of that is coming from, or rather is equal to, data. There we go. So now if we go back and if we click right here to go to the profile, you can see the photo, JavaScript mastery, and that's it. Of course, we have to make it just a bit bigger. So right here, instead of width 8, we can bump that up to 16 right here. We can also change it for medium devices to W32, and also on medium devices height 32, and also width and height can be 120 right here. So if we save that, you can see a bigger image, and we can also just a bit change the titles. So right here, this div is not going to be hidden anymore on the profile page. On medium devices, we can change this to text-2xl to make it a bit bigger. We can also add the tracking-wider class. This is going to add a bit of space between letters. And on our username, we can also say on medium devices, text-xl to make it a bit bigger. There we go. We also want to center this, so item center, but also justify-center. So it should show up right in the middle of this image. We can inspect it a bit, and we can see where it is. There we go. So we have this div right here. It looks like the outer div doesn't have the flex property. So let's apply flex right here. Class name is equal to flex. We also have to say flex-call and items-center. Now, if we save this, you can see now we centered the items, but what I wanted to do was call the justify-center. So there we go. Now this is looking a bit better, and we are ready to start with the bottom part of our profile component, which is this line right here that has two buttons, videos and liked, and we can switch between those. It looks like the same videos are liked and posted here. That's fine. We're not gonna judge people for liking their own videos, but we have to implement that functionality. So let's first add that actual line that says videos and liked. So below our div containing the name and everything else, and below one more div that wraps both the image and the name, so right here, we want to add another div. Inside of this div, we're going to have another div, and that div is going to have a class name equal to flex, gap dash 10, margin bottom 10, margin top 10, border dash b dash 2, border dash gray dash 200, bg dash white, and w dash full. So that's going to show that border right here, as you can see. Now, inside of that div that has a bottom border, we can add two different p tags. This p tag is going to say videos. And there we go. Of course, we have to style it a bit. So let's add a class name. That class name is going to be a template string. It's going to have a text-xl property, font-semi-bold, cursor-pointer, and margin top 2. Let's save it. There we go, already looking a bit better. And what we can do is we're going to have one specific variable that's going to determine if we have that underline. So which one is currently selected. So what we can do is scroll above and create two different variables and one state field. The state is going to look like this. Use state snippet. That's going to be show user videos. And at the start, it's going to be set to true. What we can do then is say const videos is equal to, if show user videos is true, then we want to show the class border dash b dash 2 border dash black. Otherwise, we can simply set the text dash gray dash 400. Of course, we have to change this right here. And we can duplicate that line and say liked. And in here, we can simply add a not sign. So if you're not showing user videos, then we can apply the like. And if we are showing the user videos, then we can apply the videos class. Now, what we can do is scroll down and we can add the videos right here. Of course, this is going to be a template string and we can actually call the videos class. Let's see, looks like I misspelled it right here. So videos, there we go. And now it is selected. Now to that p tag, we can also add a non-click. And it's going to say set show user videos to be equal to true. We can now also duplicate this p tag and we can change this to liked, change the text to liked, and change the set show user videos to false. Now, if we save this, you're going to notice that we have too many re-renders, and that's because the onClick has to be a callback function. So we call it as a callback function, and only when it is clicked do we call the set show user videos. There we go. So now we can switch between videos and liked. Perfect. Now is the time that we actually rendered the video list. So what we can do is go below this div that contains the liked and show videos, and we can create one additional div. This div is going to have a class name equal to flex, gap-6, flex-wrap. On medium devices, justify-start. And there we want to loop over the video list. But of course, the video list is going to be different based on which videos do we want to see, the liked ones or the videos that the user has posted. So what we can do is create a new use state field, use state. It's going to be called videos list. And at the start, it's going to be set to an empty array. We can also add the type of this state to be an array of videos like this. So now it's going to know exactly what we're working with. And then we can add a use effect. So we can say use effect. That's going to be a callback function, and it's going to have a dependency array. There we can say if show user videos, then we want to set videos list to be equal to user videos. Else, if not show user videos, then we want to set the videos list to be, can you guess it, user liked videos. And all of that is of course coming through our props that are being fetched from the backend, from our API. Perfect. So now we have our video list, and of course we have to add our dependencies. These are going to be show user videos. So it's going to be recalled every time that we switch the button. Also, we can add user liked videos and user videos to the dependency array. Now we have one state, which is called videos list, which changes depending on what we click, and we can map over it. So right here, we can say videos list dot length. So if videos do exist, or if they're greater than 0, then we can map over the video list. So video list, or rather videos list dot map. In there, we can create an instant returning callback function where we get one specific post, which is of a type video, and we also get an index, which is of a type number. What do we want to return for each video? Well, that is going to be an already created video card component. And of course, we have to pass the post to it. Post is equal to post, and key is equal to IDX. There we go. Of course, every ternary expression has to have an else. So if there are no posts, we can return the no results self-closing component, and we can pass the text to it as a prop that's going to say something like no. And then we can look into the show user videos. If that is true, then we can return nothing, so simply no videos. But if that is not true, meaning we're looking at the liked videos, so we can say liked right here. And then we can continue the string by saying videos yet. So we'll be able to see no liked videos yet, or we'll be able to see a list of videos. In this case, it looks like something is broken, or we did indeed like our own video. So let's try to go into that video, and let's try to unlike it. There we go, we unliked it. Now if we go back, we have created a video, that is true. And if we go under liked, no liked videos yet. That is perfect. So we are reusing the video card, and we are reusing the no results component, which is making this incredibly simple. And that is what React is, allowing you to reuse your components. Perfect. For extra points, you can also create a new component that looks like this, that has the image, the name, and the username, and then you can use that in the suggested accounts, inside of the profile, and inside of the video component as well. So that is an extra step of learning how reusability works in React. Perfect. And with that said, believe it or not, but our profile page is now done. We can see who is creating something, we can re-navigate to their profile, and we can also see the videos they liked as well as the videos they posted. That is perfect. That means that from now on, we can also jump and check out many different suggested accounts like we can on our new website right here. So if you go to Ryan, for example, we can check out his profile. Ryan hasn't liked any new videos, but he did post one. We are working on it. We indeed are. So this is the app in progress. We have created almost everything in our new app. We can upload, we can create profiles. We are using Google Auth. If we check this app and this app, try noticing one thing that stands out. It is the search. So the search is going to be the next step in finalizing our great TickTick application. So to implement the search, we can just close all of the existing components and go to components, and then we can open up the navbar component and you can see the search. This is the place where we're going to implement this great search. So let's go ahead and start with that right away. To start implementing our search bar, we can turn this div right here that simply says search into a form. So right inside of this div, we're going to create an HTML5 form element. So that's going to be a class name of relative, hidden, and on medium devices, it's going to be block. So it's going to be visible there. Now that form is going to have an onSubmit property equal to handle search, which is a function we are yet to create. And it's also going to have a class name equal to absolute, on medium devices static top -10 -left -20, and bg white. Now, of course, we have to create that function. So right here, let's say const handle search is equal to a simple function. For now, we can leave it empty. So now let's add something inside of our form. And by something, I of course mean an input, a self-closing input tag. That input is going to have a type of text. It's going to have a value, which we can leave empty for now. And it's going to have an onChange, which we can simply set to an empty callback function for now. Then we can give it a placeholder, something like search accounts and videos. So this is going to be a multi-purpose search. There we go. Of course, we have to style it just a bit. So let's pull this a bit to the left so we can see the entire search. And most importantly, let's give it a class name. This input is going to have a bg of primary. There we go. It's going to have a padding of 3. On medium devices, it's going to have text MD, font-medium, border-2, border-gray-100, focus is going to be outline-none. Focus is going to be border-2, and also on focus, we're going to have border-gray-300. So now it's going to seem focused once we click it. We can also set the width to be 300 pixels. On medium devices, we can set the width to 350 pixels, and we can make it rounded-full, as well as on medium devices, top-0. There we go. So this is already looking much better. We're going to also have a button. So right below our input, we can create a button tag. That button is only going to render the BI search icon, a self-closing tag. Of course, this doesn't look that good right now. So what we can do is we can give that button an on click. It's going to call the handle search. And we can also give it a class name to style it a bit. So we can set the class name to absolute. On medium devices, right-5, usually right-6, top-4, border-left-2, border-gray-300, padding left 4, text-2XL to make it bigger, and text-gray-400. And we have our search button. That search seems like a part of our input tag right now. Perfect. Of course, now is the time that we add the search state. So what we can do right here at the top of our component, we can say use state. And that's going to be search value and set search value, which is at the start going to be an empty string. And we of course have to import the use state as well as the use effect from React. Great. Now, once we click on the handle search, we're going to get an event here, a click or a form submit event. And we can call the event.prevent default, because what usually happens in React when you submit a form is a full page reload. And we don't want that to happen. We want this to seem like a seamless transition to a search page. Then we can check if search value exists. So if search value, then we can use the router.push to push to a different page. And what we can do with the router is of course instantiate it. So we can say const router is equal to use router, which we're importing at the top. And now we can push to, that's going to be /search, / and then search value. Great. And this event right now requests us to add a type. So what we can do is say it's going to contain a prevent default, which is going to be a function that returns void. So sometimes TypeScript is like this. You have to really specifically say, what does this event contain and what you're planning on doing with it. Perfect. So now we have to add our states to the actual input. So we can say value is going to be search value. And on change, we get the key press event, and we want to set search value to be equal to e.target.value. And finally, let's test out the search. We can do that by searching for something like, if we go to this video, we can see that the caption is, I love coding. So if we search for something like coding, press enter, you can see that we are under search and then coding, but we get a 404, and that is normal. That's because we haven't yet created the search page. So that is, of course, our next logical step. We can create a new folder inside of our pages called search. And then inside of there, we can create the new page, or a new file rather, that's going to be something like search term, and then .tsx. Once again, what you have inside of square brackets is the thing that is being read right from here. So now in here, we can run RAFCE. We can, of course, change this search term to something like search. There we go. And now we'll be able to fetch all the videos that match that specific search term, or not only videos, but rather also the profile pages that match it. What we can do inside of here is quite similar to what we've done inside of our profile page. So if we go to our profile, that's going to be the ID file. And if we go to our get server-side props, we can essentially get this entire server-side props. So let's go ahead and copy it and paste it right here. Of course, instead of ID right here, we're going to have search term. We will no longer be going to API profile, but rather API search and then search term. There we go. And of course, we have to do some imports to get Axios and the base URL right here. So let's get all the imports first. Imports are going to be similar to the profile page again. So we can scroll up in the profile page and copy all of the imports from here. Let's paste it. There we go. In this case, we won't be needing the use effect. The go verified will be needed. We have Axios. We're going to also import the link from next/link. And finally, we're going to have to get the use router. And that's coming from next/router. When it comes to the local imports, we're going to also have to get the use auth store. So let's import use auth store. And that is coming from //store auth store. Perfect. I think we have everything we need. But of course, now we have to create this endpoint on the backend. That's going to be API, search, and then search term. So we can go to our API folder right here, and we can create a new folder called search. Inside of there, we can create a new file called, inside of square brackets, search term.ts, and we can again copy the auth to get us started. Inside of here, we have to change one level of depth right here. So that's going to be .. And we can also import search posts query coming from .. utils queries. The method is going to be get here as we are getting the posts. And instead of getting the data from the rec.body as it is with the post request, we will be getting it from the rec.query. So that's going to be const search term. That is equivalent to what you have right here as the name of the file is equal to rec.query. We can remove what we had before for the auth file, and we can say const videos query is equal to search posts query. And then we can pass in the search term that we want to search for. This is going to look into the search posts query, and we're passing that search term. It's going to match all of the videos that match it, and it's going to return them. So let's say const videos is equal to await client.fetch videos query. And finally, we can say res.status 200.json, and then we can pass over the videos. Perfect. That's all that we have to do. Now we can go back to our search term.tsx. We are expecting a response, and we can say videos right here is equal to res.data. Now inside of our props, our get server side props is going to populate them. So we can say right here, videos is going to be equal to, and then we can specify a type. Videos is a video array. So video array like this. Now again, TypeScript knows what we're working with. Perfect. Now we can jump onto creating the JSX for our actual search. Inside of here, we're going to have one wrapper div that's going to have a class name equal to w-full. Inside of there, we're going to have one more div. And essentially what we're building is something like this. If I search for JavaScript mastery, you can see that there are no videos matching the search query, but there are accounts. Or if I search for something like coding, you can see that there are no accounts and also no videos. But maybe if I search for something like design, no, nothing, development, there we go. So there are videos for development, and this is looking great. So you can see we have a similar kind of header as we had on the profile for liked or videos. We have it for accounts and videos, and then we can switch between those and search for both different, and search for profiles and videos of those profiles. So we can go ahead and essentially copy that thing from the profile. So let's go to our profile page. That is rather id.tsx. And there we had those two classes, if you remember correctly. And then we also had that div that contained those two p tags to switch between the videos and liked. So let's copy that, paste it right here instead of this div. And then we also have to get those two strings. So let's copy them and let's paste them right here at the top. Of course, in this case, we won't have videos and liked. We're going to have something just a bit different. We're going to have is accounts and also is videos. We can create a new use state. That use state is going to be called is accounts. And at the start, it's going to be set to false. Since we're calling that is accounts, we can simply call this accounts right here, and this can remain is videos. And this is going to be changed depending on if is accounts is turned on. Perfect. We can also now change this to accounts, and we can change this to videos. And finally, change this to set is accounts. There we go. So now if we go back, you can see we have videos and liked, and we can turn this into accounts and videos. There we go. And we can switch between those. That is perfect. Of course, that is just the first step. The second step is now below this div to add the is accounts check. If we are under accounts, then we can show a div that's going to say something like accounts for now. Else, we want to add another div, and then this div right here is going to say something like, that's going to be videos. So now if we save this, you can see accounts and videos. Perfect. Again, we're using React, so our code is going to be incredibly reusable. In this case, we'll be reusing our video card component. So what we can do is just go back and start creating the videos first. For our videos, we can give our div a class name of something like on medium devices, margin top 16, flex, flex-wrap, gap-6, and on medium devices, justify start. Inside of there, we want to loop over the videos if they do exist. So we can say if videos.length, like this, then we can return the videos, else we can return the no results component that can say something like text is equal to a template string, no video results for, and then we have to get the search term. Now, this is a question for you. How would you get the search term that's currently being searched? What we can do is get it from the router.query. So we can get the instance of the router by saying const router is equal to use router. And then we can destructure the search term. So search term, and that's going to be equal to router.query. And now we can just use it right here by adding $ and curly braces. And of course, for this to work, we have to add something if there are videos. So if there are videos, we can do videos.map, where we get one individual video. We have an instant return like this. And then we're going to render a video card. A video card is a self-closing component that gets the post, which is in this case going to be equal to video, and also a key, which is going to be equal to the index. And the index is the second parameter of the map function. So now if we save this and go back, we get the error cannot read properties of undefined reading length. And it seems like it's pointing to line 33, videos.length, but it looks like I also made a mistake here. I specified videos as a name for those classes, but it is videos right here. So that's one mistake that we've made. But the second one still remains. It looks like videos is not defined. So what we can do is console log them. Let's say console.log and get the videos. I'm going to open up inspect element, console, and let's reload the page. It looks like that a simple reload fixed it. So a console log will not be necessary. And we can see our video right here. There we go. So this video is showing up because we are under coding. And if you look at the video, it says coding in there. If we search for something like test, no video results for test. This is perfect. So let's go back for coding. And now you can see that our video part is now done. But now we have to focus on the account. If we search for JavaScript Mastery, our account should show up, or you can search your own name in this case. We first have to filter out the accounts that match the search term. So to do that, we can say const searched accounts is equal to, now we have to get all users from our store, and we can do that by saying const destructure all users, and that's going to be coming from, or rather is equal to, use auth store. Now we can use those all users and then say dot filter. We want to filter the user, and then we can say user dot username dot to lowercase. So we want to make sure that it matches no matter what case the person uses, and then dot includes the search term. And again, we can lowercase it. The search term right here is coming from router.query, but as you can see, our TypeScript doesn't know what's happening. Cannot find name search term, and also cannot find name user, cannot find name user. So let's help TypeScript out. Our user is of a type I user. So it means that it has the username. So now this should be good. Let's see. Cannot find user. Let's expand this code just a bit so we can properly see where the error is. So we have all users. Okay, that's coming from here. We want to filter that. We get each individual user, but there is a parsing error. So let's see why that is happening. It looks like I'm closing this function way before it is actually done. So if I fix this, we are good. Now, TypeScript saves us here and says that this is not going to be username. It should be username with a capital N. And let's see, it says to lowercase does not exist on type string or an array of strings. So we can specify the search term as any right here, and we should be good. Now it looks like we still have just a couple of issues, and that was me not closing this function properly. With that, we now have all of the accounts that match the search term. Now we can loop over them. So right here, where we have the accounts, we can first wrap that in a div that's going to have a class name equal to on medium devices, margin top 16. And then inside of there, we can open a dynamic block of code. Say if searched accounts dot length is greater than 0, meaning if they exist, then we want to loop over them. Else, we want to show the no results. So we can simply copy the no results component and then paste it right here. There we go. But of course, we're missing what if they do exist. Well, if they do exist, we want to say searched accounts dot map, where we get each individual user, which is of a type iUser. We get an index that is a number, and then we wanna return something for each user. And that something is going to be quite similar to what we are returning inside of our comments. It is a card that simply specifies the image, name, and the username. If we go to a specific video, we can notice that our comments right here contain that same figure. So let's go ahead and copy it from the comments. Let's go to the comment section, and then we can find where it starts. This is it. We just need the link. So it's the link containing the image and the name of that person. Let's copy it and paste it right here. And of course, now that we are reusing this a lot, I just figured that out. I urge you to turn that into a reusable component and then call this in one single line. Let's make some small adjustments. Let's remove this class name from this div, and let's change the image to 50 and 50. Let's save it to see how does it look like. And let's go to accounts and search for JavaScript. There we go. It's not bad, but we cannot actually see the image. And it looks like we have one extra parenthesis here at the end. So now if we save this, looks like we're missing a key property. So let's add a key on this link. That's going to be index. Okay, still cannot see the image, but we are close. We can remove the layout property for this one because we're setting up the width and the height constantly to 50. There we go. So now we can see our account. And if we click on it, we are redirected to our user profile. Isn't this great? We're making this app a fully functional social media app because you're always experiencing new pages and new profiles. You can get lost in it. For example, if I go to TikTok, now I can check out this video. I can check out who commented on it to go to their profile. I can see what they liked, and I can simply get lost in that way. I can also search for something like coding, find different videos on it, but also new accounts like JavaScript. And then I can check all the videos that JavaScript posted or liked. So this is getting great. Once again, our search with this, believe it or not, is now completely finalized. We can just kind of style it a bit better because for the comment section, we did need this space at the top, but in this case, we don't. So let's simply style it just a bit better. This div right here, wrapping everything, is going to have a few other styles. It will have flex, it will have gap-3. We don't need items-start. And we're gonna also have padding-2, cursor-pointer, font-semi-bold, rounded, border-b-2, and border-gray-200. If we save this now, you can see they're going to appear in new lines like they are appearing right here if we search for something like JavaScript. Let's see. Oh, there's only one account. What can we search for to find multiple accounts? Well, I get everybody has their own name, so it will be hard to find multiple accounts with the same name, at least on the size of our current user base. Later on, once you have more accounts, this is going to look great. But with that said, we're getting incredibly close to finalizing our great application. Let's upload another video to test out the functionality one more time. I went ahead and selected a designer video since we already have some coding. So this guy is using a graphical tablet. Let's say design is great as well. And we don't necessarily have a design category, so I'm gonna put it under, let's do comedy in this case. And there we go. It appeared right here instantly. So now we can check it out. We can watch it in full screen. We can like it. We can comment on it. We can also check the profile and see that JavaScript Mastery did indeed post those two videos. It is looking great. Now, if we go back to the For You, we added it to the comedy section, right? But we didn't add anything to gaming. So let's try gaming. As you can see, it didn't actually do anything. And if we switch to comedy, coding, food, it is not changing. Let's close the files and quickly check it out. That's going to be back in our index page. So let's go to pages and let's go to our, not app, but rather index. What we're doing right here is always fetching all of the posts. What we have to do is fetch the posts for a specific category. So let's do that right away. To fetch the posts for a specific category, we can first ask ourselves, where are we going to get the selected category from? And if you check out our page and click on a specific category, and then check the URL, it should be obvious. It's coming as a query parameter. And using getServerSide props, we do have access to the query parameters. What we have to do is destructure, and then one more time, destructure from the query to get the actual topic. Again, we call the topic right here, so we're going to stay consistent. And then we can get the topic. We can also specify the type of the topic. So let's pull this right here and say query is going to have the property called topic of string. Now here, we're fetching the data for all of the posts, but we can add a simple if. If topic exists, then we can call something else. And then else, if it doesn't exist, we can call our current topic. So we can simply duplicate the general request and make it topic specific. So we can say base URL /API /, but we're going to change this to discover and then /, and then we're going to get the topic. And of course, in both cases, we have to return something, which is data. So what we can do is instead of setting up the data right here, we can say let response is equal to null at the start. And then we can set the response to the output of this Axios request right here. And we can do the same thing here. So response, there we go. Let's indent everything properly. Of course, the response has to be outside of this if. There we go. And now instead of returning data, we are returning response.data. There we go. But now, of course, we have to focus on creating this endpoint. So let's go to Explore, let's go to Pages, API, and then that's going to be Discover. So that's a new folder called Discover. And then inside of there, we're going to have a new file inside of square brackets, topic, and then .ts. We can again copy something like auth, paste it into the topic as we're used to. And then we can import topic posts query. And that is coming from // utils / queries. There we go. And we also need to add a // here. Instead of all of this code right there, we can simply do a rec that method is get. We can get the topic from rec query by destructuring it. So const topic is equal to rec.query. We can get the videos query by saying const videos query is equal to topic posts query and then pass in the topic we want. And finally, we get the actual videos by now calling the await client.fetch, and then we pass in the videos query. Finally, res.status of 200, everything's great, and .json, and we pass over the videos. So now we are returning the videos to our component, whether we have all the videos or we only have the discover videos for that specific topics. We are updating our response data and instantly sending the videos right there. So there's nothing else we have to change. We just had to make a new request to fetch different types of videos. Now going back on our homepage, let's search for all videos. We have development and then this design right here, which is under comedy. We have nothing for gaming though. So let's search for gaming. And there we go, no videos right here. But now let's check out the comedy. There we go, we have our design right here and it works perfectly. And let's check out the coding. And there we go, we have coding as well. That means that all the categories work. Switching between suggested accounts works. Looking at videos of the specific account works as well. Liked videos work. Checking out the video detail page works as well. Like functionality works. Comment, let's see if the comments works. Yep, comments do work. So everything is now fully finalized. Let's check out our app in the full screen to admire it in its full glory. What we can do as well is open inspect element and then check it out in a mobile view. There we go. So as you can see, we can scroll nicely. We only have 2 videos here and we can switch between different categories in a nice view. We can collapse this if we want to see it in full screen. And we can also switch to a profile page, which looks great by the way. And we can also log out. So as you can see, everything is working perfectly. Now, as we always do, the last step on JavaScript mastery is to publish our great application to the internet so that you can share it with your friends, put it in your portfolio, and get a job. So the deployment is going to be our next step. To deploy our great application, we'll have to push it to GitHub. So we're already tracking the changes right here, but we are yet to create a new GitHub repository for this project. So let's do that right now. You can go to your GitHub profile, top right, new repository, repository name, something like tick clone. You can make it public or private and create repository. Once you do that, you can put the editor side by side by the browser. We can open up the integrated terminal. We can stop it from running. And we can simply copy and paste all the commands. So git init, then git add dot, then git commit, first commit, git branch -m main, git remote add origin, and git push u origin master, or rather main in this case. And with that, our app is now published. Our next step is to go to Vercel. Since we use next.js, it is going to be incredibly handy to deploy this application using Vercel. You can head to vercel.com and click Start Deploying. You can continue with GitHub. I'm going to click Import. In here, you can add your environment variables. So go to your env development, and you can copy all the variables you had right here. So that's going to be next public token. Also, the name has to be copied, so next public token, and the value. We can do the same for the next public Google API token, right here. And then we'll have to change the next public base URL, but we'll only be able to do that once we actually deploy the project. So let's first deploy it. I'm going to click deploy. This process usually takes a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pause this video and we'll be right back. And instead of a successful deployment, we can see a build error. If you scroll down, you can notice that we failed to compile on navbar line 71. Type error, property image does not exist on type never. So it is possible that in some places inside of our app, we didn't fully set everything up properly using TypeScript. But what we do know is that the entire app is functioning perfectly. We tested it out. So just to pass the build on deployment, what we can do is go to the next.config.js, and then inside of there, we can say TypeScript, and then open up a new block of code or a new object and say ignore build errors and set that to true. Now, if we save that, we of course have to push that to GitHub. So that's going to be git add, git commit, dash change next config, and then git push. There we go. So now this is going to get pushed to GitHub, and then we won't be running into TypeScript build errors. I'm gonna re-add the environment variables. So that's gonna be next public sanity token. We can copy it, add it, and repeat the same for next public Google token. There we go. And instead of clicking deploy, it looks like we have to change the name. So that's gonna be tick clone, let's say final, as we always do, and click deploy. There we go. Our project is building. Let's give it some time, and I'll be right back. And congratulations, not to Vercel for successfully deploying this, but to you for coming to the end of this phenomenal video and building out the application. Now let's check it out and let's do some final publishing updates. If you click right here, it's going to open up your version of the deployed website. It should have a different URL right here. But what you can see is that we do have a 500 internal server error. Now, why is that happening? That's because we have to update the new URL of the deployed website to our Google services to be able to log in, and also to our Sanity Studio, so that all of these services know that we have a new deployed website. So let's copy this URL right here. Let's go to our Vercel project. We can go to the dashboard, go to settings, environment variables, and we can add a new environment variable that's going to have the value of the new URL, and we have to change the next public base URL and add it right here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Vercel is going to update this when we make another push. So what we have to do is just add one line or one space somewhere in the app so that Vercel updates it. So I added an empty space right here, git add, git commit, ... and then git push. Now that's going to get updated. While that is happening, let's cd into our Sanity backend and let's run npm start to run the instance of our Sanity. And on localhost 3333, our Sanity is spinning up. We can click right here on the profile and click Manage Project. Let's go to our settings and let's go to API settings. We have to add our new URL right here under course origins. So let's simply copy it and then paste it here and allow credentials and click save. That should fix the Sanity side of things. So now let's also fix the Google side of things. You can head to console.cloud.google.com, and there you should be able to find your project. Mine is called TickTick, and then you can head under Credentials, OAuth 2 Client IDs, click right here, scroll down, and then add the new URL under Authorized JavaScript Origins, as well as Authorized Redirect URIs, and click Save. It may take up to 5 minutes for the changes to take effect, but we should be up and running really soon. Now let's see how our Vercel is doing by going to deployments, and it looks like our new push has been done. Now if we go back to our website and reload the page, there we go. Our posts are now here, which means that Sanity issue has been solved and we are successfully fetching the data on our new deployed website. We can switch between those. And now let's try to log in. So I'm gonna click sign in as JavaScript. I'm gonna select my profile. We are instantly right in, And now, if we can make an action of sorts, such as adding a video, or even as simple as leaving a comment, let's see, nice tablet, that means that we have push functionalities, which means that everything works flawlessly. I'm incredibly happy with this application. It has been separated into 2 videos as it is quite long and comprehensive, but hopefully you learned quite a lot from it. Our Google works, our Sanity functionality works, everything is deployed right on your own domain, and you can share it with everybody. This has been one of the longer and more comprehensive projects, but then imagine what we can do in 10 hours, which is how long the JS Mastery Pro courses last. We have Filmpire, an AI-powered movie application, and also a Web3 NFT marketplace fully powered by Solidity. So if you like this free video, make sure to go to jsmastery.pro and check out our courses. If you use the discount code YouTube, you're gonna get an even bigger discount. With that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like, comment, let me know what you'd like to see next, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day.